All right. Hello and welcome. My name is Liam Jones, and this is an interview today with Rey Garza. Rey Garza is the creator of his own comic called Tank McGreggor. It was on volume 2 right now, Tank McGregor and the Mechanic. It's not the Mechanical Menace. This is, what is
The
it called
Cosmic
again? The
Colossus.
Cosmic Colossus. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Mechanical Menace is the first volume. Cosmic Colossus is the second, and it's huge. It's huge. It's big. It's so big. Did I sound like Trump there? I sound like
It's
Trump.
so big.
So big. It's huge. It's great. It's wonderful. You'll love it. It's massive. I couldn't stop reading it. I went through it in about a day, and it felt like a 25-page comic. It went by fast. It was so fun. So it's a pleasure to have you on. This is your second time on my show, and I've watched you with a bunch of other interviews, and I'm just excited for what you're doing, man. Honestly, like as a fellow artist and brother, it's so cool to watch you do your thing. You've been doing like Comic Cons, you've been doing the rounds and podcasts, you've been hustling. You got a great promo. Your promo is just amazing. So actually, let's start off with that.
Are you tired of the soul-sucking monotony that plagues your every waking hour? Ben and Jill are at it again. We have just the thing to get you out of your funk. It's the return of the most badass alien-punching, beard-ripping, planet-crashing bounty hunter this side of the cosmos. Tank McGreggor is back in a brand new adventure. Tank McGreggor and the Cosmic Colossus. Join the intergalactic bounty hunter as he battles his way through his biggest challenges yet. Unemployment, awkward handshakes, an ancient god awoke from its eternal slumber, that sort of nonsense. Enjoy 175 pages of pure, unadulterated sci-fi action-adventure comedy gold. Romance, political intrigue, social relevance. You'll find none of these things within the violence-fueled fever dream that is Tank McGregor and the Cosmic Colossus. Brace yourself for the laughs. The action. The danger. You won't be able to put this one down. Pledge today for a slew of unique rewards. Well, what are you waiting for, little boy? Get to it.
Come on, dude. Come on. You can get this through the Kickstarter, or you can also go to the Lesser Known Comics website. Really, it's just Kickstarter for now as this is airing, but this video will be up on YouTube for a very long time.
This Kickstarter closes on June 25th.
June 25th. So they got some time to get a part of the Kickstarter. What are the benefits for someone who goes on to the Kickstarter and supports you there?
Well, if you go onto the Kickstarter and support us there, you can get a slew of unique rewards, as the trailer said. Some of those rewards include the digital versions of the comic. We have a tier where you can get the new book, Cosmic Colossus, and if you missed out on the first book, you can get that one as well, bundled in with that one. We have a tier where you can send books to a children's hospital. Not my book, mind you, it's not for kids, but Doug Knight, who did a Super Wicked White Cell Squadron, we put his book as one of the reward tiers, and when you pledge that one gets sent to children's hospitals. You can also pick a tier that bundles up a whole bunch of different lesser-known comic books. Lesser Known Comics is the publisher. You can get a whole bunch of books there from those tiers, like Bigfoot Knows Karate, Chiasm.
There's so many. Like
There's so many.
LKC has been going crazy,
Yuriko,
man.
Narita, yeah, exactly. And we have a bunch of different tiers, like Texas creator bundles, sci-fi bundles. I mean, it's all there, and we have some really cool add-ons as well, like T-shirts and stuff. So you can get a whole bunch of different things for minimal, just a penny's worth of your wallet, sir. If I may say so myself. And yeah, you can find that by going to Kickstarter.com, or if it's harder to find that way, you can always go to Tank McGregor Comic. That's my Instagram, and follow the link in the bio.
Yeah, you can go right from there. I like your Instagram. Your Instagram's great. I have a lot of fun there. The first time I saw Tank McGregor on Instagram, I saw it was a frame of some dude with a visor kicking someone. I was like, that looks really good. And then him holding a gun, firing a gun. And I was like, it's kind of graphic. And it's also, what is this? And I was hooked. And then the first time I got to interview, I was like, I'm talking to the guy who made that. This is amazing. Oh my gosh. It's like, man, I personally think that your superstardom, like, I don't know how it feels for you, but I mean, like, I didn't know the difference between you or like mainstream comic phenom. So because your work is up there, and I think it's just a matter of time. If it's not already, this should be your full-time gig anytime.
I mean, that
Just
is
to
really
be a little bit encouraging there.
that is really encouraging, and I really appreciate it. I'm so happy to hear you say that. Hear anybody say that they like the drawings and my work, and just in general that it resonates with someone else. That it's not just me. It's a huge encouragement. Are you kidding? It's a huge morale booster. As to how I feel personally, I mean, I feel like every artist is their own worst critic, So I see my work and I think there's chance for improvement, and that I can do better. I mean, I see other artists and I just kind of feel like I should be at their level. And there's certain things that I can do that I feel I can do better, but there's certain things that they do better, and I try to balance it all out. And yeah, I mean, I still have a day job, so I'm glad you think that I'm up there with the greats. But yeah, I'm not there yet, and it's slow, like I'd imagine is for any creator who's been at this for just 5 years. It's like Kickstarter. It started out strong, but then when it like slows down a few days, because we're in the middle, it usually slows down. You get really demoralized, and you feel like, what am I even doing? No one's looking at the comic. You send it out to people, and it takes them a while to like get back to you, and you're like, oh man, they didn't like it. Oh God, and just the insecurities pop up. I think is the curse of any artist.
It's a new world. Making comics nowadays, it's not like you go to a publisher, apply, and then all of a sudden you've got a full-time job and that's all you do. I mean, maybe for some people it's like that, but it seems to me that, the big two, or if you're talking about Dark Horse or Image as well or whatever, but really Marvel and DC, I see them hiring out to like third world countries and paying the artists down there very little. Mind you, they get notoriety. And it's a different kind of thing. So a lot of artists are doing exactly what you're doing, which is going to these crowdfunding platforms like Kickstarter. And it's strange to me. It took me a while to wrap my head around it. And I still don't know if I fully understand why we do go to these crowdfunding platforms and expect that to, on its own, do what's necessary to get a book off the ground. It's really just there to cover the costs of print, basically. Am I right? Like cost of production?
Basically, yeah. That's the main reason. Although some of these Kickstarters make so much money that to them it's also a form of profit. So it doesn't cost that much to print however many books they want, but they use the rest of the money to either add rewards or just to use it as profit for their company. And there are some companies that just use Kickstarter as a form of revenue. And I think the reason it took off was because there was nothing like that. Like if before Kickstarter, we really just try to crowdfund money through our own personal website, people would have been like, well, this is a scam, or this is weird, or they might not even just find it at all. But Kickstarter was the first like mainstream thing that said like, here, this is a place where artists and everyone can get together and this is legit and give money to who you want. Now it's become this whole huge like machine that is unstoppable. And you go on Kickstarter and mainly you see like all these like big celebrities or hotshots or big companies doing Kickstarters. And it's like, well, Kickstarter started out as for the little guy, and suddenly you see people like Spike Lee and Zach Braff and all them like doing Kickstarters. And it's like, well, wait, hey, they don't need it, like save it for us.
They don't need to start. They're already like they're past the finish line, man. They're not
right,
starting.
Exactly. Although it is. I will say that it is hard for some people to make movies still, even though they're like well known. But yeah, and that led to the creation of like Indiegogo and things like that, where it's other crowdfunding companies and websites that do what Kickstarter did at the very beginning.
Yeah. In this new world, people don't always go to comic stores to get their comics. They get them online, and then you have shipping costs. So if you want to get a weekly or monthly installment of a comic book or whatever it is, you'd have to pay a lot more to buy it online because you'd be getting shipping. So everything's bundled together. So since things are bundled together anyway, why not fund a Kickstarter or Indiegogo or some kind of thing, and then get all these other things? And so it's this whole market that's geared towards people shopping from their living room or from their phone.
I don't understand how some of these, maybe Kickstarter promotes them or whatever, but maybe some of these comic books get up into like the 20,000s and stuff. And it's like, wow, does everybody really, really like want this book that much that it made that much money, or is like, how do people find out about this particular book? Are they really interested, or did these people like do really good marketing? And for a lot of people, Kickstarter is just an extra step to asking your own family for money.
It's about getting it in front of people's eyes, like going to podcasts. Like you'll probably pick up a few people from mine, but there are so many podcasts and shows out there in the world that have followers of tens or hundreds or millions of people. And if you get on there onto one of those, all of a sudden your sales just go, you're set, you're off and running. Everyone knows who you are at this point, and now you've got that superstar status. And if you did a Kickstarter, now you'd be up into the 100,000, 200,000, $1 million, all those kinds of things. I think that's what it is. I think it's just, how do you get in front of as many eyes as possible, as quickly as possible, so that people can see, Tank McGreggor, doing an awkward handshake with a green goo person.
It is like a numbers game, dude. Like even when you're when you're like at Comic Cons, I just at a Comic Con last weekend, and it is a numbers game as to like, if you get it into like 20 people's hands, one person will buy it, right? So you just got to keep putting it in people's hands, and people walk by, and a lot of them don't care, and they don't want. They're just there for like the sword, the foam swords, or like the cosplay or whatever. They don't care. Ironically enough, at a Comic Con, they don't care about the comics, So you have to like really like shove it in their face, like, "Hey, look at my book, look what I did," And a lot of times people will go like, "No thanks, no thanks, no thanks," because they know, rightly so, you're trying to sell them something. But a lot of times they'll like stop, and either because they feel pity or whatever, or maybe they're genuinely interested, but they read it and they're like, "Oh, well, how much?" And that's one person out of 20, So it is a numbers game. It's just putting it in as many eyes, front on as many eyes as you can. And I have some friends who have their own like Instagrams and stuff, and they have a ton of followers, and they're really like Instagram famous, kind of almost. And I'm like, oh, if I could just get the book in their hands, but like their channel has nothing to do with comic books, so it'd be like it wouldn't even be the same like demographic, like the same audience. So it's like, it's so close, it's so far.
I think it's more democratic, really. I think you can, if you just stick with it, you have like a professional social media person, and you just keep pumping out good content and figuring it out and learning and figuring out what works. Listen to Mr. Beast, everything that guy says. I imagine that after time, you're probably going to get a good handle on it and get those people out there.
Funny story. I actually applied for a video editing job at Mr. Beast, and I didn't get it. But if I had, you would have bought me a house.
I applied for a video editing job with Lex Friedman. I applied.
Okay.
How far? I didn't get it either.
Yeah.
No, I didn't get it. I didn't hear anything back.
Mr. Beast, I got as far as he sent me a bunch of raw footage to edit with bloopers and like mess ups and everything. And it's like, here, edit this, here are the clips, and go ahead and do it. I was proud of what I did, but I definitely didn't take my time because I didn't know how fast they wanted it. But I did like really good job, honestly. Like I was impressed with myself.
Yeah.
But I didn't get it, so I don't know what it was. And you kick yourself in the head or wonder like what it was that they didn't like. I had never seen a single Mr. Beast video. That's probably why I didn't get it.
It would be absolutely amazing to work with someone like that. But then, what would suck is that you'd have to be super passionate about his world, and you wouldn't be able to draw your comic. If I had to choose, worst case scenario, work for someone who's going to make you a lot of money, but you'll never be able to do your own art, or get a mediocre job and spend as much time as possible creating your thing, make something that's yours, and sometime in the future, become your own boss. Hire other people to help you out with it.
I 100% agree with you, and I think that's the better option as well. Because you're right. If I'd gotten the Mr. Beast job, I would have been in his world and doing things for him. And I don't know how hard I'd be working, but I would have probably gotten burned out eventually and started bemoaning the fact that I couldn't do my own thing. I've been in situations where I get promoted, and because of that promotion comes with a whole bunch of other responsibilities, a bunch of other stuff that I have to do, and that takes away from what I want to do. And even though it's technically better because it's a promotion, I go and I get myself demoted. I don't like do anything bad. I go ask my boss like, "Hey, I need to like go back to where I was, or I'm going to quit," and they let me do it.
We just gained a laser beam into the mind of an artist who's dedicated to their craft. You don't see the world in terms of just dollar value, and you got to talk your wife into it. It's like, hey, I turned down a promotion. Why? Oh, because I'm making comics and I'm hoping that that's going to work. Love your
Yeah.
wife. Give her a big hug and a kiss.
Yeah, exactly. It was more about like the stress of it also, it starts eating up at you inside, and like having like people under you, and like you were the boss of these people, and like it just starts eating away, and you're like, you know what? I am not happy. Why am I doing this?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, how awesome is it to go to a Comic Con and have all these other amazing artists around you in that atmosphere? And you know that you've made all these decisions to get to that point, and you're knocking on the door, waiting for the door to open. I think it's a cool place to be in.
Yeah, man, it's insane because no matter how much you perceive someone to be way better than you, you're still like in the same aisle as them, right? We were sitting next to a guy who he had some amazing paintings and drawings and stuff. And I started talking to him like, hey, and I gave him my book because we're sharing, like, you get to know these people over a span of 2 days. And his name was Steve. I don't remember his last name, but I started talking to him, and I'm like, oh, you do a lot of Iron Giant stuff, and he's like, yeah, well, I was an animator on Iron Giant, and I'm like, you're me, like, so he was an actual animator, and he worked on Iron Giant and a whole bunch of other cartoons, and I'm like, dude, you like worked, like, I must have seen your work when I was little, I've seen your cartoons. And he's there like next to us, and I'm like, this is insane. And he's not at all like, yeah, I'm better than you or whatever. He's like right there with us, and he's talking to me about his stories, and like genuinely seeming excited about the things that I'm doing, and I gave him a comic like for free, obviously, because I wanted him just to have it, just to read it. And he was so like, oh man, that's great. Thank you so much. Sign it, and I'm like, you want my signature? Dude, I want your signature. And then he said, if by the end of the show you see something you like in my wall, let me know and I'll give it to you for free. And I was like, all right, super. And then like a day passed, and I felt kind of bad to like go up to him and be like, hey, remember what you said? I want that one. So I just didn't ask for anything. So.
Oh man. So you said earlier that you've been doing this for 5 years. 5 years. If you could talk to an earlier Rey Garza, say 10 years ago, what would you say to your younger self?
First of all, don't go out with that chick and break up with this chick right away, because they're just waste of time. Like, a lot of the things that stopped me from making my first comic was it seemed very daunting, because I had the script and I had a very clear memory of like, well, I can't draw this because right, like in page 2, there's like a scene in a bar, and I don't know how to draw a bar. And I just can't get the perspective right. So there goes that dream. I'm not going to draw this, So if I'd gotten over that hump and realized, well, what if I can't draw a bar? And it ended up being like an alleyway. The first book, it took so long, not because I was working on it so hard, but because I would start it and then I would stop, and then I would work on it a little more, and then I would stop for months on end. It wasn't something I didn't mean to make a book. It just happened. It was just a hobby of mine. Then once I finished the book, I realized that wasn't daunting at all. Like, I finished a whole book. It took a while, but it's done. So then that got me to go, I'm going to make a second one with the intention of making a book. And that one just took 2 years. But 2 years working on it like almost every day, going all out and putting everything I had in my brain about Tank McGreggor into book 2. That's what happened. Cosmic Colossus happened,
You were very intentional about it. So when you say that it just happened, is that because you chose not to do anything else except comic books, or were you still drawing other stuff as well? Like, how focused were you on that particular thing?
I was more focused on my film career. I was making short films, and at the same time I was working in my video editing job. I also was getting depressed that I didn't really want to be in the film business. I'd had my taste of the film business, and I didn't really love it. If I wasn't making my own thing, I didn't want to work on someone else's thing. I say I wasn't intending to make a book because I wasn't. I was just, on my off time, when I feel down or whatever, I would just go back and start drawing this script that I had, this 15-page script. And it was just sort of an exercise in maintaining my chill. Again, no intention of ever doing anything with it. And I finished the pencils, and they were really, really rough pencils. And I honestly thought, once I finished the pencils, all right, I got it out of my system. There, I made a comic. Even to the point where I was like showing that to people, like, look what I made. Now it's like, that's kind of embarrassing, It wasn't finished at all. It had blue pencils, like it had nothing. And people were like, "Oh, really nice, yeah." And then it's like, "Well, it is nice. I might as well ink it." And then I inked it, and then once it was inked, it was like, "This is not terrible. Maybe I should hire out someone to color it." And like that, I just kept going and going until before I knew it, I had a book, and then I got Mark's attention, and suddenly I got published with lesser known comics. And
The theory is that there is no theory. There's no one way to do it. When I was a kid, a young artist, I was always looking for the tried and true path. I'm sure that there's an established way that everything needs to be done, and there's no guesswork. Everything is a system, and that's just it's just not the way it is. I think artists really struggle with that and also find freedom in that too. There's no set way how to become successful as an artist. I'm sure there's formulas you could do. You could stick with a formula if that's the way you do it, but it hasn't worked for me.
you can do everything you're supposed to and still fail. I have people. I mean, I have sometimes people at Comic Cons come up to me and go like, "How? Like, what did you do? What? Like, do you have any advice for me to like make it?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I haven't made it yet. I'm here. I'm trying to sell these little books, and no one's buying them. Like, like." But from their point of view, I'm behind the booth. I must know something they don't. And it's like, I don't know, man. I just kind of like, just don't stop, really. Like, just keep going and like do it all yourself and don't depend on anyone else. When you start depending on someone else, then you start just waiting for them and probably even resenting them because they're not getting it done. You got to do it yourself, at least at the very beginning.
Speaking of promotion and stuff, you and I collabed on a little video read through of Tank. I had a lot of fun doing this. I got to tell you, thank you so much for letting me murder your comic this way. This was my first attempt ever trying to do this. And I just had so much fun. It was something flippant. I didn't know that it was going to be a couple of days of solid work. I was like, I'll just be able to do it. No problem like this, And
I forgot knew. That's what I told you.
I forgot that video editing is like, and then the voiceover. And I was like, yeah, okay. I started it. I'm going to finish it. I think it came out okay. I could have done a lot more. I could have done a lot more with it. So.
I am very impressed with what you did. Okay, it wasn't so much a collaboration because I almost didn't help you at all. Like, it was all you, and you did a really good job. And I couldn't believe you were taking upon this this big project of doing this for like little old me. I'm like, oh my god! It's like, let me at least record a voice. So I recorded Tank's voice. That's the only voice I did. And then I was like, compared to like the woman's voice and like your thug voice, I'm like, oh man, like I did a poor job. Like, I don't know.
I thought it was so much fun. Honestly, it was the most fun like 2 days that I've had in a long time. Yeah, it was a hoot. So let me play this, and then we can talk about it a little bit more.
Tank McGreggor.
Jensen, how the space hell did you find me?
I asked literally 2 people. Come on, let's get you out of here.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere.
I think I've let you wallow in self-pity long enough, Tank.
Self-pity is life's comforter, Jensen. I'm just cozying up to reality.
What does that mean?
It means I'm finished, Jensen. Burned out. Done for good this time.
This is about our last mission, isn't it?
Very perceptive.
You did the right thing, Tank. So what if you broke the contract?
So what? They fired me, Jensen. Kicked me out of the League of Bounty Hunters. Bounty hunting is all I ever cared about, and they took it away from me.
Well, we could always go to work in the private sector.
You don't understand. Bounty hunting was my whole life. Without it...
There. Let it out, buddy. Where did you park the ship?
I pawned the ship.
You what?
Pawned it. Used the money to buy myself this here bucket.
Come on. You'll feel much better once we get you to a shower.
I remember showers. You remember the showers we used to take?
I remember, Tank.
Well, slap me silly and call me Susan. Tank McGreggor. You're a hard man to find.
And yet, people keep doing it just fine.
Look at him, Carlos. The galaxy's most notorious ex-bounty hunter, slumming it in the dark alleys of Coituzon 6.
Meh. At least it's not like Coituzon 2. Now that place is a crap hole.
My mother's from Coituzon 2, you son of a...
Whoa, Frankie! Don't let him get a rise out of you. Think of your breathing techniques.
Right. Imagine the feather. Imagine the feather.
Is there something we can help you with, gentlemen?
Word on the quadrant is, you're no longer part of the League.
Imagine the feather. Imagine the feather.
making you two the least employable bounty hunters in the galaxy. Not even a blind Zarlapian would hire you at this point.
Ooh, space burn!
So, you two clowns thought you'd come and take me out while I'm at my lowest. Is that right? Well, have at it. Put a bullet in my brain right here. I welcome it. Give me that sweet release.
Jeez.
Stop making this about yourself, loser. We're not here for you. We're here for her.
Moi?
Altas Zen is looking for you.
Oh, crap.
My father?
I always knew this day would come.
And come it has. Your dad is paying us a small fortune to bring you back. We've been granted corporate authority to do so by whatever means necessary. So, in the name of ZenCorp and all its subsidiaries, kindly get in the bag.
Whatever means necessary is gonna have to include going through me. Like I told that rich bastard all those years ago. If you want her, it'll be over my dead.
What in the space hell?
Yeah.
Buddy.
Imagine the feather. Imagine the feather.
We don't have time for this. Come here, you.
Hey!
Jensen.
I used to think you were some kind of badass, but it turns out you're just a drunken quark nozzle. Pathetic. I would have loved fighting him in his prime.
Come on. Let's get out of here. Dude, did you call that guy a quark nozzle? Not cool.
Just drive, Frankie.
Applause, man. Did you do that voice for the green guy?
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
you do the voice for the both thugs?
Yeah, both the thugs are me. Yeah.
Dude, that's insane. I love the accents you gave them. Like he goes from like a Brooklyn accent to like not quite to like back to Brooklyn. Like it just keeps going.
I couldn't maintain it. I was trying so hard.
But it was so cool, man. And like you put voices like now in my head, like I never imagined their voices like that. Now in my head, that's what they sound like. So thank you for that. But like high, kind of raspy, like come it has, like Mr. McGregor, like it's so like Saturday morning cartoon. I love it. And the voice of Jensen, dude, like is that an AI? What is that?
Oh my gosh. So that was very difficult at first because I did a couple of run throughs with my own voice. I changed the pitch. I did all these things. And then I sent it to you with what I had pictured was Jensen's voice. Cause I thought Jensen was going to be like a robotic voice, very robotic. And then I sent it to you and you were like, no, it's going to be more female. And I was like, I got you. So I tried all these, I called friends. I was like, hey, do you have any time? Can you do this? Everyone was like, no. So I was like, all right, let me try some AIs. Cause AI is a thing. So I went to voice.ai or something like AI. I don't know, some website that's in beta testing. And they had all of these star voices, like anyone you wanted to have and you could live perform and it would do it either live on the spot with really low fidelity, or it would do a really high quality version recorded. So you could get, download them as WAV files. So I ran through that. It took me several hours on this AI site and I used Margot Robbie's voice. So that's Margot Robbie. And then I put it into my DAW and oh man, it's so awesome. Seriously. Like that was so cool. Like experimenting with that and hearing my voice come back to me with not perfect inflection. It didn't catch my voice acting. It was like 70% of what I acted. But it was enough.
I ask you, yeah, if you just kind of type that out and it chose the inflection, or if you were giving it inflection, because sometimes it's perfect and other times it's a bit off. Like that's not what it should sound like. But and I didn't know it was the AI or not, but like the voice with that like sort of like a hint of like metallic robot voice, but not quite a robot voice, like still pretty human. That's pretty much what I felt Jensen should be. My wife saw it and she was like, "Why aren't you doing this? Like you should, like you can make a lot of not money." She said like you can get a lot of views and you can like probably get a lot of followers if you do
You
like
can get a lot of
comic,
money off that too. Don't get
and
me
I'm like,
wrong. Like,
but like you said, it took you 2 days to do that like 3 minute like video, and I knew it was going to take forever. That's why you were like, hey, are you going to do this or what? And I was like, man, I'm so sorry. Like, I can't do this right now. Like, I'm so busy with the Kickstarter, like with work, whatever. I can't dedicate as much time to this. And you're like, I'll do it. I'm like, okay, like, go for it. And I can't believe you actually did it, because I knew it was going to be such like a time constraint.
anything with video just takes the entire day. And so
Yeah.
whether I might as well do this because it's going to be awesome and because it's going to be good for you.
The trailer for Cosmic Colossus took me like 2.5 days, and
Yeah.
not even considering counting the shooting of it. The shooting took like an hour, but actually editing it, and not so much the edit, but like coming up with like the graphics and like the text, and having the text like come up, and like having the pages do like this and that, like that just takes long. But yeah, it's very time consuming, man. It's very tedious too. Especially even if you know what you're doing, it's still tedious. If you don't know what you're doing, you don't know like what the software, what to do, and how to handle it, how to drive it. I can only imagine it takes 3 times as long.
You're Adobe Premiere, right?
Yeah, I did that one mostly in After Effects though.
Really?
I used Adobe Premiere just for the audio. I did all the effects and everything in After Effects, and then I moved all that I did into Premiere, and then I just put the audio, because I feel like there's better audio tools in Premiere than After Effects. So I do it in 2 parts.
Yeah.
I go back and forth. Really.
Nice. I'm really curious about After Effects. I've never used it, but I see a lot of animators and people do it. But I've learned so many programs already. Do you do music at all?
No, I do not do music.
No. God
wish I
bless
did.
you. But music, it takes so much of my time.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't surprise me that you have all of these other things going on. It seems to be that that's the way an artist works. It used to kind of blow me away, but now I just see it over and over again as a part of a lot of creative people. They never have just one thing. If they're really good at like piano, then chances are they're also really going to be good in something else, because that dedication to whatever their craft isn't only limited to that area. It's global around their whole life. And so you get these artists who like just blow you away, like David Lujan, or you do video. Looking at this Cosmic Colossus thing, I look at that and all I saw was work and years of work to get to that point, to be able to do it. Because I recognize,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man, I like to tell people like you're paying for the experience, not so much the video. Sometimes people like ask you to do a video and you finish it like in like a day or whatever, and they're like, "Well, that didn't take very long." I was, well, you're not paying for the time; you're paying for the video. You're paying for the experience. I have experience. I can do this in a short amount of time because I've been doing it for 20 years. So
I think
that's
Van Gogh said that.
Oh yeah, did he?
It's a Van Gogh quote. Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad I didn't say. I like to say it. It's a Van Gogh. I was actually just at the Van Gogh Museum of Art in Amsterdam like 2 months ago. So inspiring.
No way.
Yeah, we went to Europe. I went with my wife for just like a vacation. We like saved some money, just went to Europe. We hit London, Paris, Amsterdam, and in Amsterdam, it's all the museums, right? Like it's all the cool museums, and we saw like the Museum of Modern Art, and we saw the Van Gogh Museum. The Van Gogh Museum was like so kick-ass. Just like listening to his story and like everything, and his art is very touch and go for me. I don't consider it all like amazing, but there's like classics and there's some really good stuff. I bought a frame and I have it hung up in my office. And I bought a T-shirt with like some of his art. Like it's just so inspiring listening to all that. And on the other side of that, like right across from that museum is the Museum of Modern Art, and they had a Banksy exhibit. And the Banksy stuff was so inspiring and like so crazy good. And that's where you like feel like an artist, because Van Gogh, yeah, he's an artist, but he was more like old school, like you don't really know him. Banksy's alive right now, and you get to like feel some sort of connection with him, and like you see his drawings and his paintings, and you're like, how does he come up with this stuff? And it's so meaningful and it's so deep, and you're like, I want to be deep like that. I want to go and do some graffiti in my town.
It's so thoughtful, That's the thing about modern art. Like I'm a huge critic of postmodernism, but I also love it. And I love it because it really stresses that idea is king.
Yeah.
If you have a solid idea and you've thought through it, it doesn't matter how good your craft is. There's going to be something amazing about it, and it's going to communicate. But
Yeah.
you just have to do it. Whatever
Yeah.
avenue you're going to use, whatever form, whether it be a painting or a video or whatever, if you have a really sound way of putting it across and you take the form seriously, because postmodernism is also very much about form. You know, you're going to use your form for what it's specific for in that context and master it. You know, that's a true postmodernism. When I see beginner artists or not quite up there yet, they haven't quite figured it out, they've got their own voice yet, they'll try to use postmodernism as an excuse to say, oh, anything I do has value because I'm a human being. And it's like, no. Postmodernism is about understanding your craft, and it's about understanding the form you're using and using it to the max. So Banksy, for instance, I think, and interrupt me at any time here because I'm just rambling. When Banksy uses graffiti, he's using that in a really, really self-conscious way. It's very self-conscious and self-referential in a lot of ways too, because he knows that it's ephemeral, that it can be taken down. And then once people started like breaking out walls and taking his thing and then putting it into a museum, then he started doing commentary on that as well. And so it becomes self-referential at a certain point and just genius, like an ongoing conversation, sort of like a meme that gets responded to, that gets the responded meme gets responded to, and then back and forth over the ages, you know, until you've seen that cat, you know, getting swatted by the dog 100 times, you know, in different ways.
Yeah, man. And it's topics, like he's touching on topics that are relatable to the living world, you know. Again, you look at Van Gogh and it's beautiful and all, but I'm not living at the same time he was. I don't know. I can study what he was saying, but I'm not living it, you know. With Banksy, you feel like you're living in the times that he's talking to you about through brick and paint, you know. It's really something. And if anybody's ever down in Amsterdam, there's more to do than just smoke. You can go to the museums and it's really, really cool.
You don't need to go to Amsterdam to smoke anymore. You can smoke anywhere. I'm in Canada. We can smoke anywhere.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Justin Trudeau, man. He's the guy for that.
I'm in Texas, so I
no, no, you don't do that around there.
Yeah, no, I can't do that around
y'all aren't from around here, are you? No, can't do it. It's horrible. I can't do it. Yeah, it's an exciting time to be an artist. It's I think right now, to be in art with the way technology is going and with AI coming out, with all of the advancement of technology, I think the art form of our time right now is video predominantly. I think that's where the most exciting thing is. That's where all the eyes are on, is on phones and computers. And so that's the art of our time. Yeah. And there's just so much going on. So I think video editors are right in the heart of what modern art is. And on top of that, I think I really like comic creators in terms of craft. I think comic creators are the MMA fighter. I think Mark says this as well. They're the MMA fighter of the art world. You know, they're so well-rounded. They know all, like you understand this from panel to panel to panel. You have figures, landscape, perspective, draftsmanship, color, and you kind of got to do a passable job of everything. You might excel in one particular.
On top of storytelling and pacing, you know, so it's like, it's all of it.
Story is king, right?
Right. Yeah. You could be an amazing artist, but if your story, who's going to finish it?
Yeah. And all the best artists will say that story is king. That hasn't changed. But I think now it's just to a whole different level with the video, you know? Whatever you do is going to translate into video, and that's how you're going to get people's eyes. They're going to catch you through some kind of online medium, whether it be a podcast or Spotify or what have you. It's an exciting time, man. I'm excited for you and also for me. I mean, I love this whole world. I think it's fantastic. I think it's rejuvenating. I have a lot of hope. You know, are you freaked out about AI?
Yeah, I am. I'm freaked out as to where it could get. I'm not freaked out about it right now. I 100% believe that it's currently being used for more malicious intent, and we don't realize it. It's going to be used not just in art, but in politics and stuff, and that's what scares me. The malpractice of AI by people who just know how to use it better and like have malicious intent. So yeah, sure, you can use it as a tool, whatever, but it's not going to be used for that. It's going to be used for a bunch of other things. Why did they make the atomic bomb? Like, we don't need that, but it got made. Why? Because people thought, I'm going to see if I can. It would really upset me, though, in a very petty way, if some kid who's never picked up a pen in his life and he didn't have to draw a single page and starts going around saying, I drew a comic book, or I made a comic book. And that comic book somehow it starts getting like attention because it was made by AI or whatever, or it's good written, well written or whatever. That would upset me. That would be like, well, what's the point?
For sure. I agree with you that there's just a whole lot of nastiness going on out there with it, and people scamming people and people trying to fake, that they have talent when they don't. And I think eventually what goes around comes around. I think the law of the land still is you reap what you sow. I don't think that changed. And I think as artists who are, forward thinking, it's a good idea to explore AI to see what's possible and to master it. You can fight back against these guys and show them how it's done. Because if AI is going to be around, it's going to be around anyway. Like, have you seen the new plugins for Photoshop? The way you can use Photoshop and to replace whatever you like, however, it's incredible.
Yeah, I've seen that. And After Effects does stuff like that as well, to erase things in the background or like to rotoscope. And in that sense, when it comes to video, I support it. So in that sense, I'm a little hypocritical because I'll use it for that. But when it comes to actually creating something, it doesn't feel real, and it depresses me that could someday be the norm. If it keeps getting better and better, yeah, it's definitely going to replace people. I do believe that.
The things that drive me nuts about our modern world are robocalls. Robocalls drive me absolutely insane. Do you get that?
No, I haven't gotten a robocall yet. I have heard of Kidnapping Express, where they will use your voice to call your mom and basically say, I've been kidnapped, send money to so-and-so, and your mom thinks. That's why you got to have some sort of keyword, right? Like my wife and I, we're like, we should have a keyword just in case anything like that ever happens. And let's ask for the keyword, that only we know. Of course, I asked her about it the other day and she forgot about it completely. So I think we're screwed.
Imagine the feather. Imagine the feather.
Man, what a bummer. Anyway, buy my book,
It's such a pleasure to talk to you again, man. I'll catch you on the flip side. I'm going to post some stuff on Instagram. We'll be in touch. Once again, for Rey Garza's book, you can go to the Kickstarter. You can check out his bio on Instagram. It has all the links there. Lesser known comics. Check it out. It's killer. Any last words, Rey?
Banana hammock.